going to want to match them for first place in the standings. And Team Liquid's schedule is going to get a lot harder after this week. So they want to come in here. They do want to stomp DSG if they're going to be considered contenders and go home with a quick 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely. That is going to be the expectation, I think, from the TL fans. Of course, we have seen our top teams, drop some games here or there. We just saw C9 drop a game against Dignitas. And now, Dignitas, they are the team in dead last. They have actually taken a game off of all of our top teams. They beat TL one game, they beat Lion one game, and they beat C9 one game. They still haven't won a single series yet.
And they were swept by Shopify.
Yep. They've lost all their other series 2-0, but every time they play a top team, they win one game. They get one blue shell a week. Only active against the top teams.
That's so frustrating for them, where they're winning in all the ways that mean nothing. And losing in all the ways that are measured.
Yeah.
That's just so unlucky.
But you can be like, oh, but we had some good ones, though. And you still have 0 wins, unfortunately. DSG, though, did start off the season, obviously, a bit better. They took down Sentinels. People are thinking, hey, they were picking up right where they left off. But since then, they have not yet been able to get a Series 1.
Yeah, and we're on a new patch. Series 1 had a couple of new items show up. It was mainly about Deathfire, Touch, and Storm Raider Surge, seeing a lot of play in the mid lane. We did see one copy of Gluttonous Greaves. We haven't seen any big uses of Static Shiv or the new Cyclo Sword, which can apply the on-hits on ability usage. I know over in the LEC, Knock played a Cyclo Sword Rush Aatrox and was able to win with it, but I'm hoping we see something. When we do see Ashe Seraphine locked in, though, I feel like we're due for a meta draft.
Yeah, that's kind of part of the problem, is that everyone's just playing the same style of champs, and a lot of the new champs, a lot of the new items aren't built on the most meta pro champs, right?
Yeah.
So unless people go outside of the meta, I think you're not going to see a lot of it. Where I think we could see a lot of Shiv, to me, was champions like Senna, that is just already strong with Shiv, and now Shiv kind of got even better for her. So we did see occasional uses of Senna around the world, but not much. And obviously Dusk and Dawn gets built some. We saw that in the Varus game. That has been changed a bit. So there are a lot of changes. Likely to see Deathfire Touch here on the Rumble. So definitely going to see some.
And I think something to point out here with what Team Liquid has been doing, more so in Spring Split, where they're undefeated in matches, is they're going to blind pick or just pick a tank for Morgan in more cases than they were back in Lock-In. I think in Lock-In, Team Liquid was really obsessed with dominating early game and blowing the game up in 20 minutes. So if they made a misstep in the mid game, they'd end up losing. But now I feel like they're picking a lot more scaling in their team comps, usually through primarily Morgan's pick. And then since they still have exceptional laning, they're still winning early games, but now they have a lead with a scaling advantage, which has worked out so much better.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, it's been interesting, right? Because people talk a lot about him as such a strong laner, but he has been getting put on tanks quite a lot. Really known for his Renekton, but, not going towards that sort of pick as much as he kind of has been in the past. But of course, first 3 picks, incredible scaling there for TL. I will say, when you're going to give up the Ashe Seraphine, you generally want to have tools to be able to attack it. And I do think they have some good ones with the Pantheon as well as the Ryze. You can get down towards the bot lane. But there is the ability to actually throw out protection bands. And TL is also worried about potential mages bot because they're actually banning out the Mel, which is quite popular into both Ashe and Seraphine. Great things that you can actually reflect back with that W. And mages are terrorizing solo queue right now in bot lane. If you look at the highest win rates in bot lane, it is almost exclusively mages for the first 12 or 15 even picks.
It really is. So if a team is willing to give you Ashe Seraphine the way that it happened here, where Team Liquid is actually first pick, so they decoupled the Seraphine Ashe in draft order, and then DSG didn't disrupt that combo, you're thinking, okay, they're probably confident with something against it. Oftentimes that would be, from what we've seen, a Nautilus draft, which has had very mixed success. It's very feast or famine. So I understand the Mel potential headshot ban, because it looks like we're just going to see a Corki Nami headshot, or not handshake at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And Corki Nami has not been doing well in our league at all into Ashe Seraphine. In general, I didn't actually check the stats this week, but last week when I had checked in, it was something globally in top leagues, like an 87% win rate for Ashe Seraphine against Corki Nami, which is not very good for the Corki Nami. Of course, it could be Lucian Nami. That could maybe throw a little bit of a wrench in the gears, but still, it is very, very difficult to lane into this duo. It scales incredibly well. It can be really abusive in the 2v2. And really, you're just looking to try to gank it, but regardless of what AD carry you pair with the Nami doesn't have the greatest gank assist, so it's not going to be the easiest setup.
Absolutely not. Little AD heavy for Team Liquid right here, but they're going to have a very strong front line. Sejuani, Yone, so they have double melee soul lanes to go with the Sejuani and a lot of backline damage, but most of their magic damage is going to come through a little bit of half and half Yone, a little bit of random Ornn damage in there, and Seraphine. So I think they'll get by since DSG doesn't have necessarily a true tank.
Yeah,
but it's a pretty solid looking team comp for Team Liquid.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we're just waiting on the AD carry last. You can say, oh, they're going to get Zhonya's value, or they could build steel caps or whatever, which is true. But generally speaking, there's not going to be anyone to really stack armor, so they're not going to be too concerned. Pantheon stacking armor is not going to be very powerful. You need to build AD, and obviously Rumble cannot go tanky really either. So I do think TL have drafted very effectively. This is about as standard as you get over on the TL side.
I mean, it's almost identical to their Game 1 draft last week against Sentinels when they won in 23 minutes. The only difference from this week to last week is the jungle pick, which was Pantheon and is now Sejuani, because DSG took the Pantheon instead.
Yep. I mean, they're going standard. They are going super, super standard. And the Sejuani can be really effective. You do have that double melee solo lanes. For TL, it does feel like Jose, you're expecting him to play towards those solo laners, try to get them in a winning position here. And for DSG, I feel like it's going to be about tacking Yeon and CoreJJ, try to get value out of this Pantheon early and often. You know, if this Seraphine Ashe is pushing in, you're looking to gank them. Of course, the difficulty always is they're pushing lane, but they have hawkshot. They can track the jungler. They can know when you're on that side of the map. So even with the semi-global Pantheon, it's not always easy to get the setup for a gank.
I'd almost want to see DSG try something at level 1. Based on the performance of these teams in the last couple weeks and these drafts, I'd make Team Liquid a very heavy favorite, because when we think about the win conditions here of DSG wanting to attack bot lane, sajed and Lyonz have been the worst performing duo lane in creating their own advantages. So it's going to be really hard for them to get a lane state in which they can punish with the Pantheon.
Yeah, it is going to be really, really difficult. And I feel like Yeon feels as though he's back in form. I think, you know, he had not started off this year the way that you kind of expected, but Yeon these last couple of weeks has been looking a lot stronger. And when he is on, he is really on. I think for TL, you know, the question is not can you win, because everyone's going to be expecting you to win. It's more about, you know, in what way do you win? Like, are you going to be dominant? Can all of your lanes look good at the same time? Because that has been a big question where I feel like, you know, a lot of times you're having individual performances that are fantastic from the TL players, but they're rarely all working at the same time. As we're going to see KryRa coming in here for an invade, and Jose just realizes, you know what, I can't contest it. You're not going to be able to beat out the Q smite from Pantheon, so he just immediately is going to cross to the other side. And I'm curious now to see if KryRa is going to try to defend his own Raptors, or if Jose will just go into, you know, vertical and kind of split map situation.
Yeah, I do really think that that delayed Raptor invade, especially if you catch the enemy jungler on there, is one of the fastest ways to get a jungle advantage. But I've also seen it equalize very quickly depending on how efficiently the Pantheon goes back to his own jungle. So I don't think he's going to take Raptors here, or sorry, Krugs here after the red, but it's always a little bit of a guessing game. I want to see how Jose responds to this.
Yeah, Quid also going to be using one of the new starting items here.
He is going Krugs.
Doran's bow is quite popular on Yone, and a few different champions do use it. Sometimes people are just going double adaptive, and then you're able to grab that, and it still feels pretty good. You get some attack speed there. As we are seeing KryRa just full clearing that top side, and Jose has crossed over to take the enemy Raptors. He just did his one camp on Wolves, so he is obviously a bit behind right now. And now it's going to be a base from KryRa, so we'll see if he can actually get over here in time to contest the red that Jose is now starting up.
Yeah, so I don't actually love this overall result, because it's still going to be 3 camps plus this for Jose, and these 3 camps are going to be hard to re-access for the Pantheon as they respawn. So if Jose can get this red buff and then escape, he's going to be in a totally fine spot, because he still has all of his, like 2/3 of his top jungle up if they can get vision of KryRa. So it was a little bit of shenanigans early, but well responded to with the guessing game from Jose.
Yep, well done by him, as Callme going to pop the ghost here, gets in range for that room prison, forcing the flash out from Quid, who is still burning from that Deathfire touch. Quid wants to stay around to be able to pick up this wave. I mean, he only has 9 CS right now. Callme is kind of smacking him in that 1v1. Quid very low, does just utilize the Soul Unbound here to try to get as much of this wave as he can, but he is not going to be going back to base with very much gold, and now KryRa is coming over, so if he gets stopped here, KryRa might actually be able to flash and kill him.
Potentially.
I think he should go for it. Oh, he was too late. He could have just flashed the wall. They had vision from the Ryze, I thought.
I thought he did, especially from the Ryze or from the minions. It was a good look, and that's like a 1/10 of a second whether or not he gets back to base. Some new tech on display in the mid lane, though, so it's Doran's bow for Quid, and then also the Deathfire Touch for Callme. So it's a higher damage, lower mobility Ryze because he's lost Phase Rush, he didn't go Stormraider Surge. And the Doran's Bow is an attack damage, attack speed Omnivamp, whereas oftentimes I feel like you would normally go Doran Shield, so Quid is going to be taking more pain early on.
Yeon in a lot of trouble, sajed flashing forward, trying to find the kill. Can he hit the Mystic Shot? No, Core flashes in front to block it. Yeon might have sidestepped it anyway, but good things happening from DSG in the 2v2. Not something that has happened very often so far this split. They did have, of course, that really good first Vayne game, but it's great to see them with that early advantage. And some pressure for DSG here early on. For sure, fighting back with that quirky Nami. Wave is also pushing against him, so really good for the bot lane. And Castle is hoping to pick up a few wins as Ezreal. Yeah, exactly. So this was actually some stats that were put up by our stats guy. They were talking about the least wins, the most wins through the first 100 games. And then they said, okay, well, what about active players who aren't actually there yet? Castle is the lowest who is still actively playing below that 100 games, only has a couple more to play and would need to win quite a few out of his next 8 games to actually be able to not be in last place, essentially. Yeah, and we promised we aren't just picking on him. This was a whole thing on Twitter. Yep. LEC did the stats, LCS ended up doing the stats, and it was a pretty organic conversation that uncovered this. So Castle needs to go on a big win streak somehow, as there's a big fight over Raptors here. Jose going to be trying to steal this away. KryRa jumping forward, looking for the fight onto Jose. Jose's going to get bubbled up right out of that. He is incredibly low, has to flash back. Core there to try to protect as Quid was fighting Callme on the side and winning out in that one. But at the end of the day, it is a couple of flashes forced as Callme had to use his and Jose had to use his as well. This is honestly a very shocking early game. I mean, even we talked about Morgan's ability to pick tanks and equalize in these laning phases. Castle is 15 CS math up on the top lane, but it's also 15 CS in the mid lane. Their solos are getting slammed. And then the bot lane lost all 4 summoner spells and is losing, so it's actually 3 losing lanes for Team Liquid, which I can't think that has happened all year for Team Liquid. It's a wild first 5 minutes. I mean, even bot lane, you're down 13 CS. Maybe there's a couple more for Yeon to farm, but no, actually all the minions are dead, so he's down 10 CS. Mid lane is down 13. Top lane is down, 12 right now. Maybe going to fluctuate back and forth as the waves do push in, but still, like you said, TL is known for their laning for the early game. That is what players praise them for more than anything else. And so it is surprising to see those losing lanes across the board, of course. You touched on the Doran's Bow. Attack speed obviously just so valuable on Yone and pretty standard for the starting items on this patch. Yone, I think, one of the best users of this new item. But you are a lot more squishy in the early game compared to when you do have that Doran's Shield and Callme laning well to create the most of the edges that he has been given. So something odd to point out, for some reason our feed right now doesn't show Gluttonous Greaves for both mid laners, but they both have Gluttonous Greaves completed. That is bizarre. Yeah. So, I was wondering, I was like, why is Callme just on the tier? They both seem really poor, but they've actually both rushed Gluttonous Greaves for the sustain. Oh, interesting. So that makes a lot of sense. I was really confused as to, I was like, have they just not based him forever? What is going on? Gluttonous Greaves, I will say, a lot of people find them quite powerful. In pro play, it's going to take you a long time to get that stacked up, though, generally. So that is where a lot of the power is actually once you get the stacks, because you only start with 4% Omnivamp, and you have to get 6 kills or assists to actually get it fully stacked. So I tend to think that they'll be a lot weaker in pro play compared to solo queue. I was thinking that as well, but I also, as Castle and Morgan go for an all-in. Morgan going to have to flash here, as there's another fight there. KryRa getting pushed back as Quid came to assist Jose. So Jose's trying to cycle those Raptors and get some control for the Dragon, but I find the Gluttonous Greaves conversation really interesting just because I think it gives a sustain option where it just didn't exist before, which can be really broken in some situations. Like Ryze being able to power clear the wave while also healing. He's just never been able to do that before unless you're somehow speccing into Riftmaker, which was just never realistic. Yep. So I think it's going to find homes like that on a lot of mages, weirdly enough. That just didn't have access to the lifesteal before. Yeah, especially if it's a matchup where you're getting poked down, right? It can be pretty valuable if it's like, hey, Yone needs to whittle you down with Soul and Bound over and over and then look for an all-in. Well, now all of a sudden you can't really do that in that same way. So definitely interesting to see that new tech being utilized. Yeah, not to mention a lot of times Yone will build lifesteal and that's how he outsustains you in lane. So does Quid change his build path now that he has access to lifesteal in a different way? I'm not sure, but that's what the opportunities of these new boots give. Yeah, exactly. And you can change things up. And we'll see. I mean, you could go something like Kraken, you know, if you really want. Sometimes people would go PD if it's kind of an easier matchup. But Blade of the Ruined King still obviously super effective in general, as Jose is spotted working his way down towards that bottom side, as KryRa was on a recall. And Jose now will start up the Dragon, which is also spotted. Some very good warding here by DSG is keeping track of everything.
Yeah, might be a delayed fight here. Pantheon just coming out of base with better items than Jose would be able to ult in if DSG wants to go for a late contest.
Yeah, they're going to Realm Warp over there. Callme trying to groove up with the rest of the team, but he is too far ahead of everyone. He's going to get charmed up, knocked up. The fate is sealed, comes through from Quid, and they are getting destroyed right now. Jose on the side, though, in trouble, and sajed goes in. They knock him down. It's a spear to the back from KryRa. Yeon, out of mana, needs to run. Does have his flash up and available. It's the Dragon for TL, but it is a kill for DSG.
I like the look on the fight, just having the item advantage on the Pantheon and being able to get into a team that is trapped in Drake is a good look. So DSG, even though they were a little late to stop the Dragon, still managed to win the fight, and we'll see if they can get some tempo off this as well as they're pushing mid and bot at the same time.
Yeah, KryRa going to be invading here, trying to take away these Raptors. They want to push in and crack the first plate, as that is very, very low, but not going to risk doing that. Might actually just lose the plate as a result, but KryRa should be able to grab this scuttle very likely and get out. Jose on his way over, does not have his smite either. And reminder, Spring Finals is going to be taking place at Mullet Arena at ASU University from June 13th to the 14th. Get your tickets now, scan the QR code on screen, and we will hopefully see you all there. As Jose, starting this up, will grab the first grub, and he is happy with that, just jumps out.
Get back to clearing. We're also all going to have mullets if we sell every single ticket.
I'm going to need to grow a little bit of hair.
Yeah,
you know?
can figure it out.
You know,
Kangas can wear a wig.
work in progress.
Yeah, we'll see.
Won't shave for a few years.
7 years. Here's the look one more time. Everyone is able to dodge the Seraphine ultimate except for Callme, but then weirdly enough, the Yone pushes him back a little bit. No one else able to follow up well on that fight. And I think it's just hard with Yeon being low on mana, with Jose not really having any items. Their Team Liquid was not going to win that fight.
No, it didn't look that good for them. I think it could have been even a lot worse, though, had Callme Realm Warped in a little bit of a safer spot, because he was kind of pushed back out of the fight immediately. And, you know, if he was still kind of full health when KryRa arrives and they could just full send it together, they might have been able to get multiple kills or at least some additional summoners. Castle, maintaining his pressure on that top side, has been very, very good. You know, really a point of power for DSG in almost every laning phase. And he is doing fantastically well this season, getting a lot of credit. And people really kind of look towards that top lane for DSG as sometimes their sole win condition.
I mean, this is a pretty big gap, especially against Morgan. Morgan's been able to go even in almost all of his Ornn and Sion matchups, if not slightly ahead. So Castle putting a lot of a lot of pressure on him as Josedeodo completes his first item.
Yeah, and it's not even like it's first strike gold or anything like that, because he's playing Deathfire Touch, so he has just built that advantage straight up. Castle just constantly pushing forward here, going to be able to overheat, and will push that wave all the way in. Of course, wants to look to base since he uses Equalizer. Yeon and Core on this bot side have their summoners back up besides that heal, but just playing safe around the fact that KryRa could be there, looking for a play.
Yeah, just trying to check on the rune pages. If you add Deathfire Touch and Scorch together for both Ryze and Rumble, they're at about 1,000 damage so far this game, which is something to track. I don't have a great anchor point for this right now, but Rumble 668 from Deathfire Touch, 365 from Scorch currently.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. I mean, you kind of try to compare it to, I mean, obviously First Strike could be dealing less damage, but giving you the gold.
Yeah.
You're kind of comparing it in a similar space to something like Area or Comet. But of course, Ryze before always took Phase Rush. It's just not available now.
Exactly.
So it's kind of hard to compare because there are pretty significant trade-offs, right? You're dealing a lot more damage, but well, how do you put a price on being able to survive a gank, you know, from the Phase Rush? And mobility is really hard to quantify a gold value to.
Because Ryze is relatively short range anyway.
Yeah.
And if we're thinking about how he's navigating team fights against Ashe, Seraphine, Yone, Sejuani, Ornn, we'll see if he's even able to play in team fights, even if he's a little bit more dominant in lane.
Yeah, exactly. You're much more vulnerable, you know, especially against those slow, heavy teams. But it is going to make that lane that much more oppressive as sajed pushing in on this bot side. Going to let the True Shot Barrage rip here as he just wants to continue pushing this wave in. Would love to be able to grab that plate. A lot of these towers have not been autoed at all. They still have so many crystals sitting on them. So one auto would give over some gold in a lot of these lanes.
Yeah, also both Gluttonous Greaves were upgraded when the mid lane quests completed to the Immortal Path, so now they do...
we can see them.
Yep, they do 5% increased damage when you're above half health, and you get 15% increased healing, shielding, and regen when below half health. So, in a sense, they're also good if you have enchanters or healing on your team to really boost those heals mid-team fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, obviously, it can be boosting, you know, your life stealing and stuff as well. And, you know, Yone W is a shield. Ryze obviously is going to have the Seraph shield. You know, there are some different tools that should be getting boosted by that, which is quite nice as far as the survivability is concerned. Jose trying to play for some vision. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow going to miss Callme, who pops the Ghost and is going to be able to walk out of this no problem. And now going to go back in onto Yeon, put some damage down on it. But Jose comes in. It's a swing and a miss, as Callme sidesteps it with that Ghost and stays safe.
No need for phase rush when you just Ghost and have happy feet. Before Ashe Arrow missed, Seraphine he missed, Sejuani also missed. Team Liquid, you can't contest this anymore.
Yeah, they're still hanging around. They do have Encore as well as the Fate Sealed from Quid. Callme is getting pretty low. That is the advantage that TL have. A lot of poke. And now they're pushing in. There's the flash forward with the Encore. It does not catch Sajed, but it does catch the other two. And Quid is raking havoc in that backline. Jose is going to be able to knock down one. KryRa barely survives. Quid retreating back here from Callme. Yeon has not been able to get involved. The True Drop Barrage barely misses out on Quid as Jose is running and Sajed is pushing forward here, trying to find some more damage. Can't finish them off. TL limp out of there. Quid had almost no health, as well as Yeon got incredibly low, but they couldn't finish him off, and KryRa survives too. Really
crazy fight right there. CoreJJ with a massive flash Encore to kick that one off, but then skill shots from the pre-engage to mid-fight just seemed a hair away from connecting. True Shot Barrage at the very end doesn't quite finish off Quid, but keep your eyes on CoreJJ at the top of this. When they're already down most of their engage tools, he sees this angle where if he flashes down with his R prepped, he moves it to be closer, so he's kind of buffering the cast time a little bit to land that chain with the Yone ultimate. But they can't quite execute KryRa right off the bat. If Quid gets that, I feel like it's a wash for Team Liquid. They just back up, take the dragon, but they can't quite get it.
Let's play in next Drake fight.
Yeah, just looking to set up for that next dragon. As Morgan, you know, was not really there for that. Does have the ultimate up and available. And it's kind of funny because Core obviously flashed to try to redirect to make sure that he was hitting Sajed with the Encore. Barely missed Sajed, but then Sajed pre-cleansed anyway because he was expecting it to hit him. So you got the same result regardless. You got the cleanse. And Sajed, you know, has been having a pretty rough time, you know, really this whole split. You know, I think in lock-in, their lane phase was not great, but there was a lot of talk about how well they were team fighting, and this is an opportunity here against a really good team for Sajed, you know, to really kind of show that he can compete against the best. You're going up against Core and Yeon. You did well in the 2v2. You're up in gold over Yeon, and now we have to see what they can get done with it because TL is back here to that dragon looking to fight.
And remember, Morgan said, let's fight next Drake. He probably meant the next Drake, not the repeat of this Drake, but they're looking like they're just going to be able to take this one.
Yeah, DSG very late to actually come over here. Castle TP's down, and now they're going to try to force Shirley. The response TP comes through. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow going to connect onto KryRa. The CC is there. There's the Encore as well. Callme's in the back line. CoreJJ very low. Quid goes in with the Fated Seal. They're all turning in onto Callme, and he is knocked down, and Morgan is so tanky in the front line. Castle has got to run. He's going to have to flash the wall here if he wants to get out alive. In comes the rest of TL. Castle holds onto the flash for a little, but knows he has to use it. DSG showed up very late after the dragon was already gone, and they lose the fight regardless.
I feel like some big-time indecisiveness there for DSG, as you'd want to have the teleport come in early so you can contest the Drake. When it comes in after, you can see Team Liquid is ready because they immediately match with Morgan's teleport. And the nice thing about this is we're zoomed out in Spectator. I want to call attention to how quickly Team Liquid turn around and how wide their teamfight vision actually is, because the beginning is all about trying to get as much damage down on Pantheon as possible, but as soon as that Ryze ult comes in, look how quickly in unison they turn around. Morgan sends his own ultimate backwards as Quid and Jose jump on him. So very good team fight vision from all of Team Liquid to turn that one.
Yeah, I mean, the Gluttonous Greaves does give you some nice lifesteal, but I feel like Ryze is getting slammed by CC, right? There is
Maybe
so
some
much
Mercury
CC.
Treads.
Merc Treads are still good, and there is so much CC on this team when you're thinking about the roots, the stuns, like every champion has some sort of CC, it feels like, that they're applying to you, so it's kind of brutal, and Callme just got CC'd pretty much under 0.
It's a tough choice, though, because you're thinking they're all AD. Why would I build Merc Treads? I'm leaning against Yone. Maybe I should go Steel Cast, and they're still getting CC locked.
Yep.
I'm going to get Morrison Stayed from the Greaves, so I'll just buy those. Maybe, we'll see. Maybe Ryze isn't as good anymore. We'll see.
Yeah, and if you don't die, you know, right at the start of the fight, you know, maybe you're going to be able to get a lot of value out of that sustain, but of course, no stacks just yet for him on his Gluttonous Greaves, whereas Quid will have grabbed a couple. He's gotten those assists, so going to be getting more out of these boots now on the side for Yone, who did elect to go for that Blade of the Rune King. Just kind of a little bit of a tempo arrow, I guess, wants to interrupt that recall. We see a lot of those from Ezreal, not so many from Ashe.
Yeon breaking the meta, just firing Ashe arrows. For what it's worth, Dragon's down, they're doing Rift Herald now, he's going to have it up again soon. Gets a plate off of it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad at all. And they are looking for a potential dive onto Callme, who popped the Ghost early and runs all the way out, knowing that he has no assistance on the top side of the map. Look where Castle is. He's hitting the tower in bot lane, and he has no TP. So Callme has the rest of his team now coming in. Lyonz is up here. KryRa is going to be in the area with that Grand Starfall available, but Herald will charge in. Doesn't quite have the damage as Callme's going to flash forward. Here comes the Grand Starfall. There's the Rune Prison. They're going to try to burst him down. The peels come through from Core and Jose, though, and Quid stays alive for now. They do get the tower on the bot side, so that is going to be first tower of the game going over to DSG because they were able to defend that turret in top lane.
Yeah, the gold lead actually opening up now, and the dive continues.
Quid is just going to get knocked down. This time, they do not have the cooldowns to peel for him. He stayed around way too long. Wanted to try to greed for that wave. DSG get the kill. They get the tower in top lane as well. So now 2 towers going the way of DSG. They're up 3,000 gold.
Really nice tempo play, and they might be trying to push their luck a little bit here. 20 minutes in with a dead Yone and an Ornn who with no TP. DSG starts Baron.
They are starting it up here.
Ornn TP just came
Ornn
up.
is coming right back. And Jose has to get some vision. He can't even see how healthy it is, but they're going to pop the call of the Forge God. Lyonz is low. Multi-man knockup. They're trying to walk through this, and Morgan's just going to flash into the pit. It's low, and it's secured by KryRa. Yeon is not able to enter whatsoever, and Yeon is out of mana now, so the Realm Warp is going to come out. They're going to be able to interrupt that on Callme. Callme is going to be left for the Wolves here. He will fall. Jose flashes forward, going to be looking for Castle. Castle is put incredibly low, pops the Scrap Shield. The Bubble's going to get sidestepped, and Jose knocks down another one, and now Lyonz is left to the Wolves here, will finally be knocked down surely by Jose as he's got no mana left. It's a double for Jose. DSG does get the Baron, but it's a big gold swing in the favor of TL.
Even including the gold granted from Baron, that's a negative 1,700 Baron power play as of now. KryRa really putting the hurt onto Quid, though, in the mid lane on the back end of this one. But Team Liquid end up walking away from this one much happier than before DSG started it. So one more time, they have 5 people live, but I think Morgan's teleport just came back off cooldown. Going in here, Jose doesn't actually even suicide for the steal. He's thinking about the fight this entire time, and DSG just keep getting lower and lower from the Baron. And then once the fight actually does start, there's just low mobility for DSG, and the chase from Team Liquid is so high. Nice interrupt on the Realm Warp to make sure that they can finish off Ryze, and Jose just continues to pick up more and more kills.
Yeah, risky stuff from DSG. I mean, they were pretty low. They decided to commit to it, and it is going to be DSG looking to set up for this Dragon, but Jose has been having an incredible split, and he just got cursed big time as he might go down. The equalizer comes out. He's still surviving, but not for long. The production team cursed him. He was having a great game, still is, and has been having an incredible split as DSG looking to fight here. Yeon comes from around the corner. There is the flash encore coming through from Core. Call the Forge God, going to get flashed away from there by Castle. As in comes KryRa looking for Yeon. Can't quite find him. Core survives. Quid survives. DSG have not started the Dragon yet, though. We'll see if they can get it.
Ezreal, they are relentless right now. Not only do they take Jose out of temporary MVP consideration by making the production team drop the graphic. They get a kill, and now they're right back on the Drake, but Team Liquid is back.
Yeah, and they have a big health advantage here. DSG, again, just trying to finish this off. KryRa has no flash, though, so it is going to be difficult to get out. He's going to get rooted up, and Yeon is hitting him. Quid is going forward. Castle is back now, though, and DSG going to be looking to fight. Jose coming out here from base. Morgan, very tanky, buffers the Searing Charge back, and now Castle's in trouble on the side. Has no flash available, has no way out, as Yeon is going to be able to snipe him down. It's an arrow to the back as Castle falls, and TL now going to be pushing mid.
Really exciting game for Team Liquid, who was such a big favorite here. DSG is definitely fighting back, and I have to credit Yeon for that last team fight. He was spacing the Pantheon so well in what was a very dicey situation. So in a 4v5, Team Liquid is trying to contest the Drake just to make it hard. They don't want to just give the Drake and concede the temple. They know that the game is really tight, so they're trying to get every small margin, and they end up picking one kill even after losing the Drake.
Yeah, and a lot of ornaments coming through already now. 3 ornaments there upgraded. For TL, is the Enchanted Crystal Arrow going to get sidestepped there by sajed, who is just scrapping with Quid. Quid getting incredibly low, gets bubbled up, barely survives thanks to the shield from CoreJJ, as that True Shot Barrage would have killed him off. sajed fighting well against Quid there, but on that bot side, Morgan going to be able to knock down a tower, as that should be finished off by the minions. And to get back to Jose, I mean, Jose has been having an incredible split. There was a lot of question marks when he got picked up. A lot of people were saying, why didn't they get inspired? Well, Jose is showing why. He is playing incredibly well this split, and I think he is definitely a candidate for MVP, but they're going to go for a dive again. The Encore comes in, and once again, Callme just getting CC'd on top. sajed is low. It's a double DB coming in from TL. A double bubble, though, answered there by Lyonz. Beautifully done as Quid goes with a Faded Seal. He gets a double knock-up, takes down 2. Beautiful stuff there from Quid, and now Castle gonna get stunned up, locked down, knocked down, back to the base. Yeon's the one to send him there. 4 kills for none, going the way of TL.
They are gonna get a lot off of this fight, and it looked like the Brawl brothers right there, Morgan and Quid, just punishing Callme. I didn't get the chance to see the back end of the fight, but Yeon and Core absolutely walk out of that one unscathed as well.
Nicely done there. It looked like it was going to be a decent angle from DSG when they came through, but Quid with some fancy footwork, you know, had the Steel Tempest charge, gets 1 knock up of Steel Tempest, another with that Faded Seal to seriously engage. Yeah, 2 fights at once here. So KryRa jumps in, and I see had to burn his E early, so now he's just trapped with Jose and Yeon. So looking at the bottom side, it's like 2v3.5 with the Rumble All coming in, but Quid, Ornn just absolutely dominate there. Morgan now actually level 16 after the tough laning phase, a level up on Castle, and just a force. Yeah, that was sick from Quid. Faded Seal knocks up 1 carry.
That was insane.
The Steel Tempest knocks up the other carry back-to-back, gets the double kill. Looking clean in that team fight.
And life stealing like crazy.
Gluttonous
Greaves, Shield Bow, Bork. Woo.
Yeah, he is definitely powerful at this point. Callme on the other side still needs, what, 4 more stacks? And we are 25 minutes into the game, so.
Yeah, 6% Omnivamp from his boots. Quid at 9%, so almost maxed out.
Yeah, so this is the downside in pro play. You know, if it's a slow game or you're just not having a good game, you're not getting a lot of the value from it, you know, so it is kind of tough, you know. There's these high risk, high reward type of ruin. And in pro play, there's a lot less kills on average, so Callme kind of low rolling on this side as Lyonz going to be forced to flash. sajed cleanses out of that Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Is going to be able to stay safe, but that costs a couple summoners there.
Yeah, won't be getting those flashes back for 5 minutes. They burn flash from Nami, cleanse from Ezreal, and because Castle is split pushing, getting a lot of golden pressure, Team Liquid decide they just need to start the Baron.
It is going to be spotted immediately. Callme is in the area, and Castle has TP. He wants to go back to base, though, and he's realizing he doesn't have time. As the fight is already kicking off here, KryRa is going to be in trouble. There's the Encore. It's going to go wide as KryRa flashes away. Now Castle has arrived, as they're going to be looking for Yeon. Yeon is chasing after the jungler. TL is forcing the Baron here, but their AD carry is dead, and they might lose the fight. Can DSG get more? Realm Warp coming through. They're going to try to chase down the rest of these TL members. They will eventually get Morgan, but they're not going to get anyone else. It is just the 2 kills for the Baron. The question is now, how much can DSG take from the map?
Baron is not what it used to be. Both Barons have been traps for the team starting it. DSG had the negative 1,700 right after Baron. Team Liquid negative 200, going to be closer to 1,000 plus probably the Drake right here, and it's just a split call. So Morgan, Yeon think they're fighting. Jose is probably saying, guys, finish the Baron. Quid pops back, but Yeon and Morgan are already committed, so DSG can just clean them up. Sure, they lose the Baron temporarily, but it's not that much gold.
And the Dragon is going to spawn when Morgan is still dead, and Morgan has no TP. So that could actually cost them the Dragon as well. We'll have to go back to live to see where we're at with this. Yeah, because Morgan is not going to be up for 12 more seconds. They're doing it on spawn. Good call there from DSG, as it is now back-to-back Dragons going their way. So the Baron definitely not worth it thus far for TL. We'll see if they can get a lot more gold with it in the next about 2 minutes, but for now it is looking like it was super not worth. Sajed though has no plans, and Jose is behind him. They are going to be looking. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow pre-Mikhails by Lyonz, beautifully done, but Sajed not so lucky. The CC all landing onto Sajed, and he is down incredibly low. He shifts away. He's still alive because the carries couldn't get in there and help. Quid was still pushing top, and it was just tank damage going on to Sajed.
It looked like such a sweet engage, but you're right, they didn't have the damage there. They do have Baron-empowered minions, though, and a very delayed DSG getting back to base.
That was so nice from Lyonz, though. The self-Mikhails, not only does he keep himself alive, but he is then able to help Sajed stay alive. You know, he's able to land the heals on him as well. As TL still in the area. Castle, though, coming into base very, very strong. Overheats and is cooking up Morgan, who's got to try to run for it. KryRa pushing forward, though. The rest of the TL carries are on the left side of the fight, and their tanks are just getting roasted for free on the right. Morgan going to be pushed back, has no teleport. Castle still interested in a fight. Quid going to be looking with the Steel Tempest, finds the knockup, as well as the engage on the other side coming through, as the Encore is going to be able to charm up multiple members, and Castle is left out by himself. Sajed is down, he dies the core. Castle falls as well, and now the flash in there. It's a beautiful bubble onto Quid. KryRa's trying to run, he needs to survive. DSG are crumbling. They have lost 4, and just like that, they've lost the game.
And Baron is actually still up for 30 seconds, so worth, I guess. But I gotta say, the team fighting from Quid on this Yone has been so exceptional. Team Liquid looking to push to the end.
It is a very surprising finish to this game, as DSG had been fighting well for so long, but just like that, DSG get out team fought on the steps of their base, and TL, make no mistake about it, marching down, finishing off the game here in just under 30 minutes.
Still a sub 30, even though it felt like such a competitive game. The player of the game here is kind of a tough call. I'm feeling like Quid's team fighting was insane, but the laning was close, so gonna be a close call. Lounge, what do you think?